welcome back to another video here on Play on GAA with me, Seamus Brady, your host, and for this one I am joined by John McMahon of the JMac Podcast to give a full preview of the next round of fixtures in the Allianz League, including football and hurling. The start of the Allianz Hurling League in 2023, cannot wait for that. John, we had an amazing week of action last week in the football. How are you feeling about round two?
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to be back in your show, Seamus. You're doing great work, so it's a pleasure to be on again, my man. Good to see you. It's like as I was saying off air to you, it's everything just kind of keeping up with all the games, and it is really just great to have it back because I suppose I've said in my podcast numerous times that we've been without it since July, and I suppose obviously the club game has been there, but like I don't know about you, but I just couldn't get overly enthused by the club games. A lot of the games are just lacking serious quality, so it's great to have the county back. So many games, loads of talking points. I know obviously the Glen Crokes game still getting a lot of media, and hopefully there'll be some cohesion with that soon for everyone's head at this stage, I'd say. But no, great to have all the games back. It's great to see all the TV coverage of the games, all the podcasts, all the media work that goes into all this stuff. I think I was really impressed by RTE's coverage of the Mayo Galway game last weekend. God, like the aerial shots of it, and like the crowds and everything going with that, and obviously TJ Carr's unbelievable coverage of the league. So yeah, it's back, and yeah, it's a busy time of year once again.
Let's start with Division 1. The first one, obviously, the reigning All-Ireland champions, Kerry. They have their first home game of the league. Now, they went away to Donegal last weekend, and they got beaten. Paddy McBurty hitting that late point. Yeah, a lot of controversy around the Quayla McCongle point. Was it over the bar? Was it not? Quayla McColgan, sorry, I'm saying his name wrong a lot lately. Kerry Monaghan in Fitzgerald Stadium. Monaghan obviously started off their league campaign with defeat to Armagh. This one looks like a seriously tough test as well, though, for Monaghan going away to Fitzgerald Stadium.
Oh yeah, God, it absolutely does. And like in fairness, in Division 1, it's such a minefield, and there's going to be like a lot of tricky games. And I suppose Monaghan, to be fair, I think probably would be nearly favourites maybe to go down. And I know obviously like they have a great knack of staying up in the last day, but I just think they're down a lot of personnel. I think really when you chew the fat on it, the likes of Drew Wiley gone, Colin Walsh is gone, Conor McManus's fitness is kind of, no one really knows where he's at the minute, and I suppose they are down a lot of men. Yeah, Jack McCarron's that's a huge injury that he has now as well. He's going to be a massive loss. So I think Monaghan could struggle again this weekend. I know Kerry weren't really at the race. I know obviously they're down a lot of men. Obviously the Cliffords and down a few personnel, Sean O'Shea as well. But look, I think Kerry would be favourites going into this game. I just think Monaghan, it's going to be another few years, maybe a bit of transition going on there. I think obviously the right men definitely are in place to lead them forward, Vinny and Marty Curry. But I just think they're down a lot of key leaders in that dressing room, and I think Kerry will be hopeful going into this game, because I think Kerry obviously will need to improve after the Donegal game there on Sunday. But yeah, it'll be a close, cagey affair. But I think Kerry should be looking at the big W here.
Yeah, I'm going for Kerry to win this one. I just think it's too difficult an assignment for Monaghan to go away from home to the All-Ireland champions. I know they're without Cliffords, I know they're without Johnny O'Shea, but I still think, I was impressed by how Kerry played up in Donegal. The terrible conditions up there, and still the likes of Darragh Roach look very impressive. Killian Spillane, Tony Brosnan, they still have a lot of firepower, and I'm going with them to win this one. Next one at Pearse Stadium, Galway Roscommon. Two sides, that are giants over there in Connacht. Roscommon have started their league amazingly, beating Tyrone by 3-11 to 1-12 in the opening round. Galway, probably you could argue, should have won against Mayo. They were, 1 point up with the last kick of the game. Ron O'Donoghue rescues a point for Mayo and made it what was a fair result. Now they face off against each other. Who are you backing here?
Yeah, like I know obviously last weekend, and I think some of the lads said in the podcast last week, on my podcast, that Roscommon are going to get the win up against Tyrone, and I think Roscommon are 2-1 on, and obviously they got over the line. So Roscommon will be going in with a lot of confidence into this game. I know Galway will definitely be a different proposition altogether, and obviously Galway are in very good form at the minute. But I just think when I seen Davy Burke get the Roscommon job, and obviously having former Donegal footballer Mark McHugh in there as well, I think there's this kind of renewed maybe sense that, right, these are the men that could possibly drive Roscommon football on, because we've seen the work that Davy Burke's done in the past, even with the Kildare lads, even with the Wicklow lads, and I really think he lives and breathes Gaelic football. I think he's going to get a bounce out of these Roscommon lads. I'll probably say this today, dying early, but I think the Roscommon are absolutely blessed with some unbelievable, like the Mortis, the Smiths. So I think now has to be the time for Roscommon to really go and push this on. I just think this inconsistency we've seen with them in recent years, I think now we really have to see, and right, where can this Roscommon team go, get to an All-Ireland quarter-final, an All-Ireland semi-final, push on and try to win a Connacht title. Davy Burke will get a kick out of these lads. I really firmly believe that. I've seen even he's doing podcasts last year, and he's just so passionate. He lives and breathes it, kind of like a Conor Lafferty nearly. Galway played well against Mayo the last day out. I know obviously Shane Walsh is travelling in Australia at the minute, getting a bit of a break, but I think Damien Comer really stepped up to the plate against Mayo last weekend. Another tight game expected. I know Roscommon, bit of a crest of a wave at the minute, but I think Galway's experience might just get over the line. But I really think Davy Burke will be targeting another win this weekend, the way he's going about his business.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, I really liked Davy Burke as an appointment. I think he's really, really good. I think if you actually look at how he's done with Kildare under-20s, if you look at actually what he did with Wicklow, taking them out of Division 4, keeping them in Division 3, relegating Cavan in the process, like, very impressive. And then he's obviously been very successful with Maynooth there not long ago. So he has an unbelievable CV, and coming into Roscommon, because he's somehow not really that high profile a name, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. It's a brilliant appointment by Roscommon. And I think they will go into this game wanting the victory. I think they'll want nothing less. But I think Galway will just edge it by a point or two. That's what I'm going with. I think it will be another battle. That type of game tends to actually suit Roscommon. And when people talk about Roscommon beat them twice last year, they beat them in the league and then they beat them in the league final. It's a different side now, though. Obviously, Anthony Cunningham is not there anymore. I'm going with Galway to win by, I think, one or 2 points. Tyrone, Donegal at Healy Park in Omagh. This one now should be tasty, because Tyrone, the amount of chat about them, I keep thinking surely there's going to be a bite back coming from Tyrone at some point, because everyone is talking them down and saying how in a mess they are and how many people have left the camp. They have Donegal at home now, a Donegal side who, with their new manager Paddy Carr, beat Kerry in their opening game in the league. I think it could be teed up for a Tyrone fight back, or do you think Donegal go and win this?
Yeah, like I think this is by a far and away the probably most interesting game of the weekend, and this game over the years has proved to be mouth-watering from all points of view, and like it's always so much talent involved in these games, but it's a very interesting game going into it. You know, Tyrone, we played them in the McKenna Cup semi-final there a few weeks ago, and I really thought they looked really well conditioned. Back to like the kind of bet us at their ease really, and I thought, right, here we go with Tyrone. They're going to get the show on the road again. Played Derry in the McKenna Cup final, and Derry just wiped the floor with them. So it's really hard to know where Tyrone's at, especially even after getting bet by Roscommon at the weekend there. So I think Brian Dewar, Fergal, it was a shocking year for Tyrone last year. There can't be any more F-ups from them. Like, I think they will really need to have a good lead, to have a good championship. It's a huge game this weekend for them to kind of get the morale back on song, I suppose. And obviously we hear talk with like Darren McCurry, like, he needs to be starting. He needs to be the vocal point for the Tyrone attack, Colin McShane. So the Canavans, like, what way they're going to be using Rory and Darren this year will be very interesting. But yeah, Tyrone, funny outfit. I couldn't really understand them in the McKenna Cup final. God, I really thought I would have put them down as favourites to win that game, and Derry just had other ideas. So, and then you're looking at the Donegal end of things. A good win against Kerry last weekend. I know Kerry obviously down still a lot of men, but Paddy McPurdy kind of come up at the end and kicked the winning score. It was an unbelievable, sensational point. So I think this would be a huge test for both teams. To call a winner, and it'd be very, very hard to call it. I think it's hard to kind of judge in the last few games who'd be kind of favourites going into it. Would you be looking maybe at a draw? It'll definitely 100% be a cagey fair. Might be a bit of needle to it. Be a bit of a physical game, no doubt. But very hard to call. Very hard to call. Like, if Donegal were to beat Tyrone could be staring down relegation and the thing. So no better team than Tyrone to just get up for a game and go on and win it. But I just think with the way Tyrone seemed to be moving in the last couple of games, I think Donegal can definitely exploit that. But then we keep seeing it with Tyrone just getting these performances out of nowhere. So very, very cagey affair expected, with maybe Tyrone edging it. But I think Tyrone badly need a win here, because if Tyrone don't get a win this weekend, alarm bells will be ringing.
I agree with you. I think, look, everyone's writing Tyrone off. I think there's going to be a fight back. I think they win this game by 2 points in a real dog fight, I think. Mm-hmm. The last one then, Armagh Mayo at the Athletic Grounds. Now, I have tipped Armagh to actually be my favourites for Division 1 this year. And my thought process behind it is, look, Galway without Shane Walsh. Robert Finnerty picked up an injury in that game against Mayo as well. They're not at full strength. Kerry aren't at full strength. They don't have the Cliffords. They don't have Shawnee O'Shea for the opening few games. They've already lost their opening game to Donegal. Armagh are at full strength, and they've taken this league really, really seriously. And I'm saying, look, McGeeney will want a big bit of silverware for his reign. He's been Armagh boss now since 2015. He will want some sort of title there that he can show, look, I've got this. And I think they're going to go for the league. I really do. I think they're going to go and try and win it. Mayo now at home at the Athletic Grounds, having beaten Monaghan away. I'm going Armagh with this one.
Yeah, and it's a brilliant point on it, because like I've been reading a bit or watching a bit of media since, and like a lot of people are saying Armagh could be favourites to go on, but it really blue in the face probably saying this, but it really is now time for Armagh to stand up and deliver and win an Ulster title, even as you say, win a National League, and see how far they can go in an All Ireland series. But yeah, I think Kieran McGeeney, the clock is definitely ticking for this team. It is now or never really for them. There's been so much kind of talk, hype, buzz. Obviously, that Galway game last year, they could have got over the line, and what God knows what could have happened after that. But I think this game will be very, very interesting. It will be interesting to see, with where he kind of deploys Rian O'Neill, and obviously there was sound bites coming from the Monaghan game that Armagh, some of their tactics for large parts of the game was a bit kind of questionable. But I think Mayo, especially after last weekend, I think Kevin McStay will be mad to get a win as well. With Division 1, it will be such a dogfight. There's so much quality up there. So I think teams like that will need to be getting points on board fairly early. Mayo, after the last weekend, they obviously bring on Aidan O'Shea and Cian O'Connor. There's both of them. There's either of them in start. There's O'Connor start. There's O'Shea maybe come on as a sub. But I think physical game expected once again. I think Armagh, it'll be interesting to see, it'd be interesting to see if your point is backed up in terms of, Armagh going for the league. Is this what they want to do? Is this what they want to win? Are they saving themselves for the Ulster Championship? We'll have to wait and see. But look, another rip-roaring game, we have to be all really looking forward to. But I just think, God, another cagey affair. God, I don't know, would there be much money to be won this weekend with a lot of these games if you're obviously put a few pounds on them. But I just think Mayo, with their bit of experience, might just get over the line. I think Kevin McStay will be a happy man over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see Mayo pulling out a fantastic performance. My main thing of interest with Mayo will be, will they persist with Conor Loftus at centre half back in this game? Will they put him back there, given how strong Armagh are going forward with the likes of obviously Rory Grug and Rian O'Neill, Jason Duffy, Andrew Murnan looks pretty good as well right now. Will they keep him there? It would be an interesting one to see. So yeah, that's the Division 1 predictions wrapped up. Moving on then to Division 2. Meath against Clare, the first game we'll look at in Páirc Tailteann. Now, Meath got off the mark brilliantly. I mean, it was a game against Cork that I actually thought last week was the most difficult one to predict, because it was two sides that had new management teams. They had been, spoiled for choice, really, in terms of minor teams and under-20 teams with, outrageous talent coming through over the last few years. And I just about nudged towards Cork to win that game. And Meath, more than put them away. 3 goals scored. Fantastic performance by them.
Yeah.
What would you be kind of thinking now, week 2? Would you be expecting them to beat Clare as well? And bear in mind, the Clare side that scraped the victory against Louth.
Yeah, again, another tight game to call, and I suppose obviously coming into it, Meath will be absolutely delighted with their star. Colin O'Rourke will be thrilled with how Meath played the last out, and obviously Shane Walsh was just terrific for them. It was such a nice, direct brand of football, and obviously we know about the form and prowess of Jordan Mars. Jordan had a great game as well, but obviously Walsh get man of the match. So Meath will be thrilled with how they got on. Páirc Tailteann, I think it's time Meath kind of get Park Tolton to be a fortress again and making an absolute nightmare for teams to come up and play. Clare will be no different. You might just be looking at you could be probably looking at a draw maybe in this game once again, but maybe me just about, like, I think, as going back to my point, I think Navan has been a tricky place for a lot of teams to go over the years. Clare kind of coming in, obviously Colin Collins, fair play to him, what is 10th or 11th year managing the Clare lads this year, and obviously, when you have the likes of Owen Cleary and Mr. Malone up top, you're always going to have a chance. But look, I think it'll go right down to the wire this game. I can't see any team pulling away. Maybe a 1 to 2 point win for whoever gets over the line in the end of it. But I just think Meath, Colin O'Rourke factor, he's back in front of the home crowd for the first time this season. Large crowd expected. Meath just get over the line, shaded.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going with Meath to win this. I wouldn't even say it will be that close. I'm genuinely backing Meath to get a 3 or 4 or 5 point victory here. I think they looked so polished against Cork, and maybe Cork were off. Maybe Cork, weren't there. Maybe Meath were allowed to play their football by Cork, which I definitely think if you look at the Shane Walsh goal, yes, while it was a brilliant goal by Walsh, he did get it pretty easily compared to other goals that he would have scored. Then moving on, we mentioned about Cork. Their next test is a very difficult one. They have to go to Newbridge and face off against a Kildare side that only lost to Dublin by a point last week. It's a difficult one for Cork, this.
Oh, it is. And look, anytime you go to Newbridge, you're always going it's an absolute. We talk about fortresses. Newbridge is an absolute fortress. We've seen Kerry, the likes of Dublin, the likes of Mayo, go up to Newbridge in the past, and they've always kind of got it very tricky up there. And I think it'll definitely be no different this time. It'll be interesting to see how Kildare work. Obviously, the numerous chances nearly to beat Dublin in Croke Park last Saturday night, and numerous chances to push on and win the game that of course they didn't, and Dublin got over the line just about. But I just think I don't know if you heard anything about Daniel Flynn's fitness. I don't know, is he coming back into the squad or where he is these days. I think he'd be a great addition if he can go back in for Kildare, but maybe just a bridge too far for the Cork lads. I know obviously you need to start picking up points, and you'll definitely be on pressure if you keep losing games. Essentially, you make no doubt about it. But I think Kildare, a fortress, they'll be hurting. They will be hurting after not getting over the line against the Dubs last weekend when they could have absolutely got over the line. So again, another cagey affair. I'd say Kildare, just the fact of being at home, Newbridge being a very, very hard place to go and come to. So I'd say Kildare probably maybe 3 or 4 point victory, and Cork could be leaving. But yeah, again, another tight game, and obviously shout out to Mr. Sherlock after 14 points last weekend. So look, I think Cork will can do that once again. If he can hit the 10 to 12 point mark, I think Cork could definitely be thereabouts, if not even win the game. But it's kind of shit or bust even for Cork now as well, because obviously new management team. Obviously we've seen Mr. Kevin Walsh going up there, and obviously Kevin Walsh is a fantastic coach. So I think Cork really need to start pushing themselves on as well. Newbridge factor, another tight game to call, but we'll go with a Kildare win by maybe 2 to 3 points.
Yeah, I agree. I think Kildare take this one. The next one is an interesting one. Louth against Derry. It's going to be played in RD. And the reason I say it's interesting is Louth nearly beat Clare. And that was away from home. And Clare had to hit 4 points in a row in injury time to beat Louth. Obviously, they got a goal, and I think it was in the 67th minute, Louth did. And it looked like they were going to take all the points. And then, obviously, Clare came back and won. Derry, on the other hand, they trashed Limerick, as I think a lot of people predicted that they would. Yeah. That was in Celtic Park. Then, if you actually look at it, they had Conor Glass and they had Ethan Doherty that day. Obviously, the whole debacle with Glenn and Kilmacud Crokes. I'd be stunned if they play for Derry again this weekend, because that game should be replayed. But if they don't have the Glen boys, do you still see the Derry side taking this one pretty handily?
Yeah, like, oh god, like, probably just on a side note, it's I wouldn't say maybe it's a disgrace, but I just think it was a bit much playing the two Glen boys in that game last weekend when Derry, could have probably done without them and probably could have got over the line against Limerick. I just think that's probably for another day's conversation, but I think them Derry lads should have definitely been given a break. I know Rory Gallagher made a point that he won the 2010 All-Ireland Club final and played for Fermanagh like a few days later, but different horses, different courses. I was watching Conor Glass in the All-Ireland Club final. He looked fairly fatigued. So I think to play him last weekend was a bit too far in my eyes. But look, everyone has their own opinions, but it wouldn't have been me now.
No,
but obviously, Rory Gallagher obviously sees different. But yeah, I think Derry will get the win this weekend. It's the first game. Nearly in all the games we probably talked about that I'm fairly confident. I know obviously the Sam Mulroy factor with Loud, but I think Derry will have a plan for Sam. And I think Derry maybe 4 or 5 points in the difference in the end up here, I think. I know obviously the Glen boys, if they do or don't play, I think they probably will play going by the sound bites coming from Rory Gallagher. But yeah, the first game I'm probably very confident with I have to say. But yeah, Derry by a few. Mulroy obviously to get his usual points, but I think Derry will limit Mulroy's threat a lot, I think, because Derry have just been very, very, very good so far this season. I have to say they've been brilliant. So Derry by a few.
Agreed. I think Sam Mulroy is going to get the Christy McCaig treatment or something like that. I think he's going to get a tough man marker on him, maybe a Conor McCluskey or something, but he's going to get a nasty man marker on him. And I feel like it will be a freeze day for Louth where they're going to rely a lot on Mulroy's free taking.
Yeah.
Derry will win this one.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It goes to show maybe how competitive the league is. And oh God, imagine if we had the championship structure like the league. But that's the first game I've been dead cert. The other games you've talked about so far, it's a toss of a coin.
That's why I'm saying we've had this debate. Senior, intermediate, and junior championship for me is so obvious. Look at the ladies' game. Look at the ladies' game. Yeah, every championship there is so competitive, and that's what.
But Seamus, like you kind of have. It's crazy, like this debacle of the Glen and Croke situation. The fact it's not been sorted yet. The GAA haven't took responsibility. We're blue in the face. I'm talking a podcast. We're putting up on social media. What needs to be done in the GAA? They don't want to listen to anybody. The people that's running the association has no interest in listening to anybody. I think was it Brian Sheehan was saying on the Examiner podcast that it's run by people that just use the terminology of back in my day we used to do this. Listen to the public. Listen to the people doing the podcast. Listen to the supporters. And we might have a good, enjoyable championship to look forward to. The league format is what we want to have in the championship. Why is nobody listening?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, in a way, and this is a controversial thing to say, but in a way, those fairy tale days where smaller counties won the provincial championships, in a way, they have been the worst thing that happened to the championship structure because they've always been the back argument of, well, this is why the provincial championships should be kept. Like Leinster, Dublin haven't lost a game in Leinster since 2010. Do you realize how long ago that is?
Ridiculous.
Last time Dublin lost
there's lads playing under 14 football.
Let me put this in context for you. Last time Dublin lost to Leinster, Instagram didn't exist. Like all these social media, there you go.
Yeah.
Like this, it's so long ago.
Yeah.
And yet people use the examples of like Leitrim winning it in 1994 or Sligo winning it in 2007.
Nonsense.
And they used Clare winning it in 1992. And they use these examples of like, well, anyone can win it. It's like, well, no, not really. But if the bigger counties win it all the time, like Ulster is the only one that changes most years.
Yeah.
It's very rare that you have an Ulster team win 3 in a row.
Exactly.
But apart from that, it happens in the other provinces all the time.
Yeah. Oh no, 100%. But I see the point on this as well is we had the Congress. I think it was back in November 2021, and we seen the interviews off the ball did with like the Ulster Council delegates, the Leinster Council delegates, and like they're just saying, "Oh, sure, who wants to change? Sure, the players don't want to change." The players, was it like a 70 to 80% vote of like voting proposal be in. They just don't want to listen. It's just, lads, like, I know the GAA, it's a great product, and of course we could do so much more to promote it, to keep it running, for a need for change, constant need for change. But I just, when you have a good format like the league being ran, good close competitive games, and then you come up to a Dower Championship where games are on RTE and you're watching a Leinster Championship game, the Dublin Kildare last year, Dublin just went to town in Kildare. Like, just so many, like Leitrim and Mayo a couple of years ago there in the Connacht Championship, but Mayo won by 20-30 points. Like, look at, yeah.
I did a video back then at the time ranting about it, and I was saying it's deja vu. It's the same stuff over and over and over again. It's like
insanity. What's the definition of insanity?
But that's what I mean. Is here's the other thing, right? The structure, and we've gone into a debate, but I like it. We've gone into this. So I was saying, what my issue with it is even with the Tailteann Cup, and don't get me wrong, the Tailteann Cup was fun. But the way we have it now, we have given a really permanent ceiling to these teams.
It feels so, sorry to put in, but it feels like the Tailteann Cup is like, how would you describe it? It's nearly like a stopgap, or it's nearly just, we'll keep them weaker counties happy for the minute. But the overall picture, it can't be. Like, look at the hurling. The hurling's really exciting. But the Tailteann Cup just feels like, what's that saying? A bit of a kiss my ass kind of thing, It'll do for the year or two and try. And don't get me wrong, Westmeath won it last year. There was a couple of good games, but it just feels like it's, we'll keep the lads happy for the minute. We'll give them the day out in Croke Park, blah, blah, blah. But there's so much more to it.
Yeah, but look at what the John McMahon Cup, for example, in the hurling. Now, like, for example, 10 years ago, the John McMahon Cup was just a yo-yo. Whoever went down came back up next year. You've got Kildare making huge progress. You've got Derry, very, very strong. The likes of Slough-Neil there, really, really strong club sides there in Derry. You've got the likes of Offaly there, Laois there. That I'm saying, Antrim, Westmeath have all come from there. I'm saying now that Laois getting put down, I'm not 100% sure they're going to come back anymore. Teams are getting stronger and stronger in the John McDonough Cup. The games are getting better. If you watch Antrim Kerry in that final last year, there was some serious quality on show in that match. The level gets better as you give it more attention and you let these counties develop in an environment where they're not getting absolutely thumped by 50 points in every game. And because let me give you just one example, which will show how flawed the current system that we have is. Remember 2018, Carlow Rising. They seemed like the whole world was behind them. And then in the middle of all that, having got promoted from Division 4, their best player, Brendan Murphy, leaves and goes to London, goes travelling in that time when apparently it's never been better for Carlow football, because you realise in that moment.
But you weigh up the pros and cons.
You look at it, right? Were they ever going to win a Leinster title? No. Were they ever going to win an All-Ireland? No. So what do they do? Are they going to wait around for the league campaigns?
Yeah.
But imagine if Carlow in that season could have backed up the whole Carlow Rising thing with a push for a junior championship. Imagine if they had a final in Croke Park against Wexford or Wicklow where they could win a junior All-Ireland championship.
Exactly.
And get promoted up to intermediate. The boost that would have given to Carlow football would have been unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that's my issue with this system. It gives teams such a ceiling that they can't break through. You look at Tipperary, how many great minor teams that they have, and all their players are gone to Australia or gone travelling because they know we're not going to win an All-Ireland. So why would I stick around?
Like that's what I'm saying. Like that's kind of what I've been saying. Like the Tailteann Cup just feels like a bit of a kind of token competition in terms of, like, as I say, give the teams to out in Croke Park. Let them witness Croke Park. Let the players play in Croke Park. But I just think when we've such a good product, which is the league format, the games week in, week out are very tight, very toss of a coin between a lot of them. And then we go on to this championship. We see the likes of, like, it might not happen this year, but if it does, like the likes of Mayo playing Leitrim, I don't know, London against Roscommon, or any of these kind of games that's just so, like, even like Antrim against who we talking, maybe Armagh, like Armagh coast-owned victory in a game like that. Like that will be happening in those championships. Like, it's just, you basically, I know, like, the league is great and it gets everybody out, but you play, you train for the championship. And I just think when your main product is not right, which it hasn't been maybe for the last 10 to 12 years at this point, there has to be more players. And this is why players are pulling away. Cavan have had a serious amount of lads pull away from the panel this year. There's loads of other counties that have had early retirements, lads go travelling. You cannot blame them because the product we have at the minute, players aren't buying into it. Players don't want to buy into it. And I think the Glen and Croke situation is even further in highlighting how flawed the system probably is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's long overdue that it's time for change. And I was so annoyed and frustrated when I saw the proposal B, because I thought it was just such an obvious tactic as to just be like, okay, well, we gave you what you wanted and you didn't vote for it. It's like, no, well, proposal B was crap. Like, both proposals were awful. It would have made no sense. The fact that they have to put up on the screen as well, you know, well, this means this. And if they win this game, they play this. And there's all these. I'm like, why can you not just do senior, intermediate, and junior? Like, every
it's clear to be seen. It's clear to be seen. Like,
yeah, like every club championship in the country, like the ladies' game, where you have Mees, who got thumped one in senior a few years, went down to intermediate, rebuilt, came back, and won back-to-back senior All-Irelands.
Yeah.
Like, Derry have got better because they've been able to go through the gears, Division 3, Division 2, and build up their strength. If Derry had to play only the championship every year, they would have had no opportunity to build that team, because 100%. Conor Glass probably would have stayed over in Australia, because he would have looked in and said, I don't fancy getting thumped by 20 points every time we play against Donegal or Tyrone.
Yeah.
You have to give teams an opportunity to breed their talent. If you want to keep minor and under 20 in the same structure, go for it. I don't really mind that, because it's actually a lot more even at that level than you would think, because players haven't got the offers to go off to London or go to Australia yet. So a lot of counties have their full selection. And if you actually look at it, Dublin haven't really won that many Leinsters at under 20 at minor that you would think. Meath have come very strong. Kildare have come very strong over the last few years. Yeah, but I agree with you. Long overdue that it's time for change. And in my opinion, I would be 100% voting for the senior, intermediate, junior championship split.
But like last kind of point on it, like it's a total disrespect to the players, like, because the players wanted change, they called for change, and then like the player, I've said this on numerous podcasts, the players are our product. We have to look after a product. They're the players are the people that are getting the fans to the stadiums. Like, you see maybe 16,000 Croke Park because of the players. Like, it just feels like they're just being bloody used and abused. Like, even like a couple of people were getting in touch with me there last weekend about like the jersey sponsors that like I noticed like a Man United jersey, which obviously of course it's global, but Galway have like a jersey sponsor on the side there. I think even Cavan have like two jersey sponsors on the side, and then like one of course in the main bit of the jersey. So, you know, who's getting that money? Like, are the players ever going to get like a slice of the pie? Like, all these sponsorship deals, and like coaches getting played, and managers getting paid thousands. Like, it just, like, even the players aren't getting looked after at all. So it nearly feels like if you're a player playing these days, you're nearly just doing it. You're nearly just doing it maybe for your mental health, maybe to be seen on the county, or just the pride and place of the jersey. But I just think it seems to be the people that's like the coaching the teams, or the managing the teams, or lads in the suits in the likes of Croke Park or wherever you're having yourself, are the only ones really benefiting. So if we can't look after the players, what is the point?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Yeah, time for change. We went off on a bit of a tangent there.
Good though, good. That's what gets the views.
Tangent. Yeah,
that's what gets the views.
But we're sure we could have this debate all day. What we think
big man, we could be here till Christmas. We could be here till Christmas.
And as you said, I think what the sad thing is that I think it would take the world ending for something to change. I mean, the Intelligent Cup got a lot
unless the players just like the strike, or this just stop turning up the training session, stop turning up the games, or just
my thing is, right now, there's way too many games. We were talking about the coverage. Imagine playing in them. Like, imagine being Robert Finnerty or Tom O'Culhan, and you're playing 2 games for University of Galway.
And that's the player welfare point.
Playing for Galway on Sunday. Like, that's pro players don't play these games because they know how much. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
The player welfare point, like, and we've seen so many cases of lads playing like a Sickerson game and then having like another game like the following day, or I think who was it back in the day? Was it the Galway? Kieran Malloy. Two games in one day, like, and then it just all these bits and pieces keep getting brushed under the carpet because they just don't want to like I know we keep talking about it, but just I think, and I know I've mentioned it a couple of minutes ago, but I just think it's the second, I think 8 to 9 days. It's nearly 2 weeks ago since the All Ireland Club final. It still hasn't been resolved. Like, that doesn't happen in any other country. Only in Ireland does that F up happen. Still hasn't been sorted. I see recently Crokes are even debating or even putting in an appeal against playing the replay. So, look at mess.
But that's what I mean. It's they've given it way too much leeway now that they could have squashed it there and then. I mean, my thoughts on that situation is, what was the fourth official doing? The referee just should have gone, here, get off the pitch, retake the 45 right now.
Yeah.
You get off the pitch, retake the 45, because the Crokes had 16 lads on the pitch. And none of this would have happened. None of this would have happened.
None of it.
Why did they leave it? Why did the ref not go, hang on, he was still on the pitch, back to the 45, retake it?
Yeah.
And then, in my opinion, there's a couple, we'll go. There's a couple of changes. I can't believe there's a couple of changes that I would just outright make to the GAA. The first one would be the clock. I don't understand why we persist with this guessing game of how many minutes have been wasted. Why do we not just have a clock that counts down like the ladies' game has? We could really learn something from that. Why do we not have a clock that counts down like the ladies' game?
But then, is there like a disrespect?
The game stops when the ball goes out of play. If somebody's taking a free or they're making a sub to waste time, the clock stops, so it doesn't matter. And you might see less of that.
Yeah, but like, is there a disrespect towards the ladies' game in terms of, okay, maybe like it's not as high of a standard maybe as men's intercounty football? Like, are they thinking, right, but this is our product, we're not going to look, like, of course the GAA is very small minded, but like, we're not going to look anywhere else. It's we're sticking to our guns. We're not going to look at the ladies' game, as you rightly said, the shot clock, the time that goes into it, like, and it just, like, even the pickup of the ground, like, the ladies' game is probably in a better situation than the men's game at the minute. But
I agree. I think if you actually look at the ladies' championship, there is a number of teams that could win it this year. You've got, in my opinion, off the top of my head, I wouldn't be surprised if any of Meath, Kerry, Mayo, Dublin, Galway, Cork, if any of them won it, Donegal as well, if any of them won it, I wouldn't be surprised. Armagh, Dark Horses too. If any of them won it, I wouldn't be surprised. You look at the men's game, Kerry, Dublin, in my opinion. Like, Galway, Armagh, maybe Dark Horses, but it's between Kerry and Dublin. And if Dublin can get their shit together and get Paul Mannion and Jack McCaffrey back firing at 100%, but we looked off the pace against Kildare in the first week, so it's who's going to beat Kerry. Like, the way that the structure is built, the league campaign makes teams more even, and that's why we've seen with the Allianz League, as it's got bigger and bigger, there's more of a separation between the top teams and the bottom teams now. There's more of a separation I think there's way more of a separation between the top half of Division 2 and the rest than there's ever been. I think that the fact that Dublin last season looked as fragile as they ever looked, and they still cruised to a Leinster title. But
like, you look at teams in Division 2 there, like, and I know we talked them there a couple of minutes ago, but like, Cork, I still think Cork are probably a million miles away from Division 1 football. I still think Meath are a good bit away from Division 1 football. I think Clare are still a good bit away. Derry and Dublin, of course, will be primed and probably will go up, but I just think the teams there are in Division 2, I think they're still, and as you rightly said, that gap between Division 1 and Division 2, there's still a lot of teams in Division 2, or probably even Division 3, that couldn't even dream of Division 1 football and maintaining themselves in Division 1, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah, without doubt. Division, let's go back to the thing. I would love to keep talking about this. Let's go back to quickly wrap up the predictions. Division 3, Port Esler down against Antrim. What are we saying for this one? Down, a lot of positivity behind them. Conor Laverty, and obviously winning the first day out against Tipperary in Semple Stadium.
Look, I think a convincing down win. I think another convincing win. I'd be very surprised if Antrim put up much of a test. I think down, bit of a crest of wave at the minute. Obviously, Mr. Lafferty coming up there, and better man to kind of steer the ship for them. They're playing very good football at the minute. I think this game will prove no different. I think Antrim, obviously Andy McAtee gone up there. For a man that said he wasn't going to take up any other county, he takes on Antrim after saying that he wasn't going to do anything, a week later. But look, I think it'll be a tough game for Antrim. I think going up there, probably, I think Antrim, I think they could be looking at relegation. I think at this year, I think there's too much quality in Division 3 to contend with for Antrim. I think Down will get another win here. I think the Down will kind of look at probably a promotion, a push for promotion once again. But Lafferty, yeah, you have to really credit the work he's done so far. So yeah, I think a comfortable 2 points for Conor Lafferty, and you're probably looking at maybe 6-7 point win.
Agreed. Longford Westmeath, Pearse Park. Longford obviously losing to Fermanagh in the opening day by 7 points. Westmeath losing to Cavan, both sides in need of a win.
Oh yeah, big time. Like I think tricky place to go to Longford. Very tricky place to go. We've seen some upsets down there, but I think Westmeath will be disappointed by getting bet by us last weekend. I think they will improve for this game. I think line it'll be cagey enough, I'd say. But if I'd go maybe Westmeath by maybe 3 to 4 points. I think they've far too much quality up front than maybe what Longford do. Longford, I know obviously Paddy Christie will want to build serious blocks with them, but I think Westmeath, I think just particularly after getting bet by us last weekend, I think they'll have a point to prove this weekend. They want to get promotion, I would be thinking. So yeah, Westmeath, I wouldn't say comfortable, but maybe 3-4 point win for Desi Dolan's Westmeath this weekend.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with that as well. Offaly Fermanagh in O'Connor Park, Tullamore. Two sides that got off to a great start last week. Offaly winning by 6 points up in Belfast, and Fermanagh winning by 7 points, as I mentioned, against Longford.
Yeah, I think very, very tight game once again. I think I said a draw on my own podcast during the week for this particular game. I think Fermanagh, they will need Sean Quigley in this game. I think he'll be instrumental if they have any chance. But I think Offaly will get the 2 points here, just about. I think that just bit more quality up top than Fermanagh do. I think Fermanagh are far too reliant on Mr. Sean Quigley up top. And obviously, I think Offaly, I wouldn't say comfortable, but maybe, yeah, again, probably a 3 to 4 point win. I think obviously with McNamee's, Sullivan up top, yeah, I think Offaly, just literally due to the fact of having more quality up front, should get the win here.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I'm going Offaly to win this one by a narrow enough margin. I think Fermanagh look pretty good. Cavan against Tipperary, a replay of the Division 4 final, your own county.
Yeah.
It's in Breffni Park. I'm going with Cavan to win this one. What are you thinking?
Yeah, look, I'm not supposed to take my Cavan hat off for a second, but I think even with the news that Conor Sweeney's going to be out now for the rest of the season, and obviously best wishes to Conor. It's a cruel blow for him, so we wish him the very best luck with his recovery. But I just think on the news of that, no Mickey Quinlivan either, I think we should be looking at the 2 points. I know Tipperary have been a tricky outfit for the last couple of years, but I think they've lost a few men since some of our games we've played them in. Haven't lost many men since Croke Park last year. I know Conor Sweeney's gone, but I think anytime we played them in Breffni, there are a few men down since them games. But I think we should be looking at the 2 points here. Will be tricky enough. I think Mickey Graham promotion has to be on our reckoning this year, and Mickey Graham knows that. Good performance against Westmeath last weekend. Maybe not a game for the ages at times, but I know obviously it's brilliant to have. I keep saying this, but it's brilliant to have Darren McVie back. He is just such a fantastic footballer, so versatile. He had a great game again the last out. You can only put him down for man of the match performances every game he's played to come back. Ray Gallagher kicked some absolute bombs of points as well against Westmeath, as he usually does. But yeah, probably a huge big game for Cavan this weekend. I think tips down too many men. I think that Conor Sweeney loss is going to be absolutely huge. Mickey Quinlivan, no interest playing the county this year either. Robbie Kiley retired in recent weeks. So yeah, I think that just for even down two men, I think we should be looking at the 2 points here, hopefully.
Yeah, agreed. I'm going Cavan, as I said there. Division 4, we'll fly through these games. Waterford Carlow in the SETU arena. Obviously, Carlow drew against Wicklow in the opening day. Waterford had a bit of a heavy defeat against Leitrim, particularly in the second half, though. Waterford were leading in half time, then Leitrim just absolutely blew them away in the second half, putting 3-10 past them in one half of football. I'm going Carlow to win this one. I think Carlow looked pretty good against Wicklow at stages. Could be a tricky one, though, away from home.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Obviously, Waterford kind of have been building serious blocks in the last couple of years and made their home pitch a very kind of bit of a fortress. But I think Carlow probably. I think we'll probably be lacking a bit of quality in this particular game. But I think Carlow be maybe 4 to 5 points in the end, I would imagine. And yeah, that's what I'll go for.
Yeah. Then the next game, London against Leitrim in McGovern Park in Ruislip. Now that is a tough game because obviously London beat Leitrim last year in the league, and then Leitrim beat them in the Connacht Championship away from home, but very narrowly. This is a really difficult one to call. I'm going Leitrim to win this because I
Yeah.
think, look, Andy Moran's second season, but it's tough.
Tough game, and like not a favourable trip for a lot of teams to go over to London and get the result. Cavan just got the win over there last year. Geez, if my memory serves correctly, was it I think a point or two at the end. So it's you kind of have to, you're kind of going in there with a blindfold on, so you need to be really careful going over to London because they are like there's a lot of quality over there. I know Michael Maher is staying put for another year. Michael's a great fella to have on board there. He's a fanatic and he's very knowledgeable. Andy Moran year 2 project. I think he'll want to be going over to get a win. I think Andy will be looking at promotion this year for Leitrim. Like he's obviously a very ambitious man. We know about the qualities he had as a footballer, so he'll be mad to get a good kick out of Leitrim lads this year into year 2 of it. Keep Byrne, we know the quality of him. Be interested to see if Mulligan play any part this weekend as well. Very tight game. Another very tight game expected. Leitrim to have to go over there. Oh, Michael Maher will be mad for a win as well. Yeah, I think Leitrim narrowly by 2 or 3 points.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Laois against Wexford, O'Moore Park in Port Laois. I'm going Laois to win this one. They had a fantastic victory the opening day against Sligo, winning away from home by 6 points.
Yeah.
I'm going them to beat a Wexford side that couldn't beat London at home. I'm going with Laois to win this one.
Yeah, like it's a sorry kind of a state of affairs, you know, the way Wexford football is at the minute. I know obviously we would have played them in the league last year, and like if Matty Ford is a pundit, and he's very vocal and honest in his views about the way the shape Wexford football is in. And it's probably only going to keep getting worse until there's a bit of, as Matty said, until the football is taken seriously within the county. There seems to be obviously hurling's going really well, but the footballers just seem to be left to one side, and there's not a whole pile going on there, unfortunately. It's just really not great. Laois end of things probably similar enough, maybe to Wexford, but look, good win last weekend. I think Laois probably will get over the line. Obviously, there's been a few retirements in the Laois end of things, but yeah, probably Laois. Quality wise, it'll not be a game for the ages. So Laois probably in a bit of a dour affair, but yeah, just on the Wexford end of things, geez, it's fairly grim.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you there. I think Laois win this one. I've left the hardest game to call, in my opinion, to last. Wicklow against Sligo in Aughrim. Now, Sligo, obviously, I tipped Sligo to top the division before this started. They lost by 6 points to Laois on the opening day, which kind of made me think twice. Maybe think, should I put Laois to top the division? Wicklow as well. Oisin McConville as boss. Sligo need a victory. They have to go to Aughrim, which is known to be a difficult place to go. This could be a real battle between these two.
Yeah, and like even we the talk during the week now with Tony McAtee against Oisin McConville along the sidelines, so I think that'll be really interesting to follow that. So the pair of boys know each other inside out, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Aughrim, kind of like Navan or Park Talton, I think Aughrim will have to become a fortress for Oisin McConville if he's to get any results for Wicklow this year. Look, another game that's probably going to be lacking a good bit of quality, but like I think Sligo will get the victory. Sligo obviously, in fairness, we played them in Top Cup semi-final last year, and they have a lot of quality. Obviously, lots of good forwards up top from Sligo and things. So I think Sligo's quality up top and just general. I think Sligo should really be trying to get out of Division 4 at this stage. I think they should really be trying to just get out of there and kind of keep propelling themselves. And Tony McAtee, no better man to kind of get them out of there. But I think it's going to be another tough day at the office for Oisin McConville, unfortunately. I think, Sligo by 5 to 6 points, I'd imagine.
Yeah, Sligo for me as well, narrowly. But I think it's going to be a trickier task than I think a lot of people would look at that game. I think it would be.